Hi, I'm Rob Scott from UC Today, and I am here today with Robert Viz, CEO of MessageBird. Hello.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for inviting me in today. We've got something rather special to talk about. You've launched a new product, and it's slightly disruptive, I think. I think this is going to really do some damage in the marketplace. Tell me more.
Well, we hope so. So, yes. So, I mean, maybe just as a little bit of background, MessageBird is a platform for APIs focused on communications. We do SMS, voice, numbers, some use case APIs. And what we essentially found is that APIs are great. And we've been, successful at the CPaaS space. But they win the battle, not the war. And what I'm personally most passionate about is the fact that an experience that I had only 2 weeks ago. I was on the phone with my mobile phone carrier, and they'd actually ordered me a phone that I didn't really order. So I got an email from them, and I wanted to email back, hey, this was wrong, and I got a no reply. So I couldn't email them, so I had to call them. So I called them, and I waited on hold for a long time. Then I finally got an agent. Well, anyway, long story short, I was on hold for 40 minutes. They transferred me 4 times. They asked me authentication questions like my birth date and my mother's maiden name, which, by the way, you can find online. And it was just such a terrible, terrible experience. And I'm using that as an example because obviously we started building this a long time ago, as I think everybody relates to that sort of problem. Now, if you look at this from the consumer side, consumers have had the ability to talk to each other in very efficient ways. Like we can send each other pictures, locations, we can send voice notes. There's all sorts of ways that we can make communication efficient. But businesses haven't had that same luxury. So omni-channel is a much used buzzword, but we don't live in an omni-channel world today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been on customer support. So what we're launching is essentially a new way of thinking about things, the future of customer support in an omni-channel way, meaning that as an agent, you can see all of the history of your customers, all of the data that you want, and you can see it in one thread with all the information that you would ever need to provide the best customer experience. And it's completely powered by AI. So we do things like topic detection to make sure the topic of their customer support request actually gets routed to the right agents. We do automatic language translation. We do things like suggested replies to make an agent's life most easier. So we've really looked at the application of AI in the world today and how we could make most sense of it so that we could provide better customer support. Now, what's super important to realize is that the reason that we don't live in this world is because the problem is actually threefold. It's a data problem, so data ingestion, which means that there's so many software tools out there that you're storing customer information in that it becomes super, super hard to create that one unified overview. So that's actually problem number one. So we created a tool called Flow Builder Data, which does nothing else than where you can ingest data, output data, and you can do experiences in between that process to make sure that you get that one unified overview. And we're launching that with a bunch of connectors into the biggest platform, all the big CRMs and all the big platforms. And then the second problem is actually experiences, because for businesses, they don't know how to create these experiences. It's great that we can now send pictures and locations and voice notes, but how do you actually handle that as a customer support team or as a business trying to talk to your customers in a more efficient way? So we created an entire platform that has plug and play experiences that you can just drag and drop and start using straight away. And then the third was the actual user interface. And what surprised us more than anything is that everybody's talking about omnichannel, but there isn't a great, no, let me correct that. There is not a unified overview of omnichannel communication today. All the platforms talk about it, nobody has it. The best thing that's out there today is different screens or different tabs where you can have different types of conversations. But that's not the way that we want to live, or that's not the way that an agent wants to do customer support, and it's very, very inefficient. So we wanted to make sure that we build a tool that's actually lovable by agents, because if you have more happy agents, they'll be able to provide better customer support.
Fantastic. And the name is?
Inbox.
Inbox. So Inbox is out now. It's live. It sounds like it's going to go through a number of development cycles and improvements over the forthcoming month. We were talking earlier, and you said one thing that makes it particularly disruptive in the marketplace. I mean, it's not just breaking down that barrier to omnichannel, is it? There's one other thing that I think you should share with the audience.
Oh yeah, the tool's free. So, not another. Thanks, Rob. No, so like the way that we look at it, right? Like from our perspective, is we have a great base business, and we grew over 80% last year. So like we're still doing really well. So sometimes you got to make bets as a founder to make sure that you push innovation through. And I think this is our bet on what's next. We didn't build a better X, Y, or Z. What we build is something completely new, which maybe has elements of different types of tooling that's out there today, but we really tried to visualize what's the world that I as a consumer want to live in, and then we worked backwards to how do we make that possible into a business. And to really drive that forward, we decided to make it completely free. Now, we'll charge for enterprises, and there'll be some gating, and we're figuring out what the right gating is at that point. But trust me, once you start paying for us, we have provided you so much value that you'll be happy to actually pay us. And some users will never have to pay us, and we'll provide them free value because we can.
And it's built on the MessageBird CPaaS stack, all the technologies that you've been developing all these years. So it's ready to go. It's reliable, and numbers isn't a boundary.
Yeah, our platform, it's like true vertical integration. We own lowest level infrastructure, so we're a carrier in the cloud with over 400 direct connections around the world for SMS voice numbering. They're all our own directs. We have another 500-600 partners that we use for, so we have a really robust network of connections all around the world. On top of that, we have our APIs, we have our data tool, we have our experiences tool, and now we have the UI. So we really try to combine every part of our stack and make it one unified proposition, which I think adds a lot of value for a business to work with us, because we can really build you the experience that you want, because we're not reliant on third parties to be able to do that.
Right, so essentially you can sign up to the application, sign up to the platform. It's up and running, and you said, I think in under 60 seconds, you can get up and running with an omni-channel customer engagement platform, which is truly disruptive and different. I don't think there's another platform out there that you can quite do that with.
No, it's true. Like, no, it was one of our key things that I personally feel very, very passionate about, is that like we built a tool for enterprise. So we have all the enterprise features that you would want, but we have a lot of enterprise features that you would want: ticket queuing, routing, workflow logic, skills, languages, all the things that you need to manage your agents, analytics behind that to manage your agents, SLAs. So all the usual things. But the reality is, we're also happy onboarding a great SMB. We come from a developer background where like people could, like a developer could log in, use our API, and start transacting, by uploading $50 on via credit card. So we wanted to have that same idea of a model when we launched a product like this. So yes, we committed to 60 seconds onboarding.
And the difference with this is you don't need to be a developer to get involved in this platform. So if you're looking for a contact center replacement, a new customer engagement platform, something that's truly modern and built for that omni-channel world and the new consumer, this is the perfect tool.
Yes. So we would actually say it's a hybrid between the two, because it's an opinionated solution in the sense that you do not need to do any development work, and a support manager can fully deploy this into their systems. And because of the integrations that we already have out of the box with like a Salesforce or a Slack, or you'll be able to manage that yourself. However, there is a part of the world or part of businesses that really need customization. They need this development to sort of happen that. So our solution is actually programmable. So you can program it. You can use HTTP requests. You can use webhooks to actually mix it with other applications. But you don't have to. So we'd like to think of it as a hybrid between the two. We don't think there's value to being completely programmable for every part of the stack. We also don't think it's valuable of this new world to have closed box software systems. So we have a component architecture, so we can decide which parts we can actually make programmable or not. But we're ready to go in 60 seconds. You can start using it, start talking to your customers.
Fantastic. I'd really like to thank you today for kind of giving me the insight and the inside scoop on Inbox, and I wish you all the very best with it. Thank you very much.